The outcome for Warrington that is going to be acceptable is a convincing win and a comfortable win.
Yeah, I think you could file the victory over Hull under you for unconvincing in the end. It started very brightly, it looked as though they were going to run riot, but it didn't work out like that. There is Liam Rush, the referee, the man with the whistle, in conversation with Mark Sneed, returning here to the Salford Community Stadium for the first time since leaving Salford in March. He made his debut for Salford in his first spell in 2010 against Warrington, and here he is back now at the age of 34, still one of the ace string pullers in the Super League. A man now with 3 Lance Todd awards for Challenge Cup Player of the Match. Incredible stuff, and this time, of course, on the losing side, as Warrington came within a few minutes of defeating Hull KR, but ultimately came up just short. And Salford have the ball in their hands for the first use of the football tonight in red, moving from right to left as we watch the Warrington Wolves in the primrose and blue. And as John has already made quite clear, they have to win this game. Anything else would be an absolute disaster. They have stuttered and spluttered in the Super League season. There's been some good bits, some bad bits, and plenty of in-betweens. But in the end, they haven't won enough rugby league matches, won just 7 and lost 9. That leaves them 8th on the league ladder with games beginning to run out. And there's the first error. Comes from Big Jack Ormondroyd. Thomas Warren, in fact, back in the side tonight. He missed the last game. Toby Warren, another one of the on-loan players here at Salford, and Paul Rowley has very much been the lone arranger, hasn't he? He's had to be, John.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, Toby Warren came. I think he went the other way, didn't he, in a loan deal when Callum Watkins left for Leeds. A player with some potential. We know that, still only young, finding his feet. Like a lot of these guys at Salford, they spend the first half of the week getting to know the names of the teammates. That seems to be the way of things lately. And
they've given Warrington something of a leg up here at the start of this match, giving them good field position early on, and Conor Wrench has the ball in his hands. And it will be interesting to see what kind of reception Mark Sneed gets. I'm sure he'll get a good one. Maybe less so for Sam Stone, who left under something of a cloud as he went to Warrington as well later than Sneed. But Paul Rowley very disappointed with the manner of his departure.
Move and square, Ken! Back. Chris, all the way, wait! Go 3. Okay, clear.
That was Williams, and this is Dufty. Matt Dufty stepping inside, and Warrington now got to within 20 metres of the Salford try line here. It's Ben Curry now. Ben Curry backpedaling towards the 10-metre line. The Wolves in good field position here, and a couple of tackles left in the set here as they move to this right-hand side. Mark Sneed with that delicious right boot plugs it through, and they force the goal line drop out. All hands on deck at the back in the in-goal area for Salford. They've managed to get it dead, but the more pressure is going to be ramped up here by the Wolves.
Yeah, it was a good little short kick, wasn't it, from George Williams. Well dealt with in the end by Connolly. I think he got a bit of a tip-up from the experienced Ryan Briley at full-back. But this is an area, unfortunately, the Salford Devils have spent an awful lot of time this season. They don't make an awful lot of metres. They have been making a fair few errors. So they've been finding themselves in this situation, giving the ball away and having to defend set on set. Not an enviable position to be in.
That was Richardson with the kick, and it might find touch. It won't in the end. It's well trapped on the far side by Thewlis. Thewlis the younger.
Straight out, Chris!
Jake Thewlis on the left flank with 8 tries, same as his brother in all competitions, and 6 apiece in the Super League too. And it's becoming a brotherly battle for the top try scorer honours for the Warrington Wolves at this moment in time. Here's Curry, and here's Paul Vaughan, the enforcer. Half through a gap, but it closed quickly. Very quickly, Jordy Crowther's in at dummy half here for the Warrington Wolves. They move to the left this time. Sneed. Williams floats one over the top. Is this the first spectacular scoring attempt from Thewlis? I'm not sure he got it down. And more importantly, Liam Rush isn't sure either. Is that the 9th of the Super League season for Jake Thewlis? Ryan Briley says it isn't, but Ryan's not refereeing the game. Liam Rush is, and Liam Moore is the video ref, and that's where we're going to be heading in a moment or two for the official adjudication.
I have no try.
Over to you, Liam Moore.
Just confirm he knocks on.
Okay, we can see he's in possession of the ball at this point. Still in possession of the ball. Feet are in the field of play, and you can see that's clear separation. and the ball is lost in goal. I made my decision.
Nice, mate. Good to go now, really. No try, no come.
Well, we've seen some miracle tries in Super League since the corner flag was removed from play, John. You scored some of them. But that was a miracle too far. It was impossible. He couldn't contort his body into that ever-diminishing space.
Tell you what it was, some great defence from Isan Masters, wasn't it? He was not giving up on that play. The ball floated across the top by George Williams.
Move now, Jordan. Back. Luke, wait.
The Salford Red Devils centre, I think the standout player for this season for the Red Devils, came to the rescue, an early rescue. But again, what we're seeing, all too familiar. Salford really struggling to make metres. They're getting pushed back in tackles. That's been a real common theme for them. Look, they've got strike, the Salford team. They do have strike. It's just keeping possession for long enough in the right parts of the field.
Warren is greeted by a welcoming committee of Warrington Wolves. Shorrock's back in the team. He was banned for the Saints game, but he's back in the team tonight. Joe Shorrock playing loose forward this evening. There's an early touch there for the on loan from Warrington man, Dan Russell. 10 games for Warrington this year. Hasn't quite worked out for him. And that's juggled just a little bit by Thewlis on his goal line there, on his try line. And Chris Hill says, "You're going no further, old son."
He's got a really similar running style, hasn't he, to his brother. Thewlis on either wing. They connected a game not too recently, not too long ago. Duffy's absence, Josh Thewlis to Jake Thewlis for a try, fantastic. As the Red Devils give a penalty away, just the second tackle, and again, just offering up real estate for the Warrington Wolves side. Ormond Roy protests a little, but it was half-hearted, wasn't it?
They topped the tongue for penalties conceded this season, Salford, John. I think that's 102 now. That's the worst in the league. Not really surprising, they've had so much pressure put on them. But Warrington are squeaky clean, only 60, the fewest conceded. No red cards, no sin bins, and 60 penalties conceded for Sam Birchley's side. Maybe they're too nice, John.
Super League's good boys, yeah.
Maybe they need a little bit more mongrel, as some would describe it. But not conceding penalties has to be a positive. It certainly helps. George Williams, that almost squirmed free from the England captain's grasp, but not quite. Ben Curry strides through. Can he offload? He can't. He's put on the roundabouts and spun to ground. Crowther comes in to get Warrington moving at tempo here. And there is Mark Sneed dropping it back to Crowther. And Crowther now at a second gear tempo as he takes it into the red zone here for Warrington again for the second time tonight. Almost scored when they were last there. Here comes Vaughan. Vaughan swerving, slaloming run, offloads to Williams. George Williams, a backdoor pass to Matt Duffy. It's a stroll in for the fullback. They don't come any easier than that as he saunters over the try line. And Matt Duffy with the first 4 points of the night in the 7th minute.
Man, it was some really good work in the build-up, and he did it in the previous set. Paul Vaughan catches the ball and ducks back in behind the ruck. There's a natural soft spot in behind the ruck. You very often get arms, you don't necessarily get shoulders driven into you. Dominant carry, gets the offload away, and then George Williams to the supporting Matt Duffy. As I said last week, I with tongue-in-cheek said it was a quiet afternoon for him, but he is that industrious. And Duffy's never more than a metre away from George Williams or Mark Sneed. And you put yourself in the right place often enough, you're going to come up with the goods more often than not.
Mark Sneed just chips one over for an easy 2-pointer. Warrington lead by 6. Mark Sneed's 28th goal for Warrington, but not at the kind of strike rate you might expect. 28 out of 37. In fact, interesting statistical note that Josh Thewlis has a higher strike rate on penalties this season goals and penalties this season than Mark Sneed by a couple of percentage points.
Yeah, it is surprising, isn't it? Because he's well documented as being one of the very best in the business. That was a cute offload, wasn't it? Very cute pass back on the inside, reverse pass from George Williams. And a confident looking start. Particularly keep an eye on Paul Vaughan and the angles of those runs and what that does and the momentum it generates around the ruck for the next player.
Well, it's a great start for Warrington. That makes life a little easier. Luke Yates with his hand on the ball. Another ex-Salford player in this Warrington side. They do include Jake Thewlis, who's on loan here for a couple of games earlier on this season. Sneed, obviously, well documented. Paul Samstone and Steph Ratchford is on the bench, and that's going back a few years. He was at Salford between 2007 and 2011 in the glory days at the Willows. Never mind the Salford Community Stadium, long time ago. Oh, it was a short ball, lateral ball from Mark Sneed, and it's knocked on. It's knocked on by Lockie Fitzgibbon. And Warrington, miscommunication just shy of the halfway line, and Salford get their first attacking set here.
I think Sneed was spooked, actually. There was some work on the outside, on the fringes, where a Salford Red Devils player had left the line to shut down the anticipated pass for Mark Sneed. Out the back there to Dufty, it was Isan Masters. Opted to take the second option, short ball, and Danny Richardson, the loanee from Hull KR, who's faced Warrington now 3 times for 3 different clubs in 2025. He's the loan master, he's Danny.
Not only Super League analysis from John Wells tonight, but pub quiz questions too. Make note of the answers. John will be asking questions later. There's Shorrocks. And this time it is Jack Ormondroyd, and they're in a very central position. They're about 25 metres from the Warrington try line. Warrington lead by 6. Ryan Brierley being linked with a possible move to Oldham, big spending side from the league below. Russell there. He'd love to score a try, wouldn't he, on this appearance against his parent club. Richardson, Shorrocks. Chris Hill offload. Shorrocks again, batting down. There'll be another set here. Another set here, and Salford will take that. And this is good field position now with 6 in the bank here. This is about as good as it gets, John.
This is what I mean with the Salford side that they've put out. That there is danger, because they've got 2 genuine ball players in Brierley and Richardson, and a running half in Jaden Nikarima as well. So they get in position. They do have the tools to unlock you. Joe Shorrocks rather, just trying to find a supporting player. Ball tapped down. Full set of 6 now for the Red Devils.
Jaden Nikarima has the ball in his hands here. Brierley will no doubt be one of the schemers. Danny Richardson likewise. They come to his left-hand side. Nikarima. Good tackle on Hankinson. Important tackle on Hankinson. That's just the ankle tap. And Nikarima again. And Warren this time. Toby Warren just carts it up to set up base camp again. Very close to the Warrington try line. Salford have only scored 18 tries in Super League this season. Rock bottom with that stat category. Hill. Chris Hill, the former Warrington stalwart. It's very close to a very rare try. Would have been his very first for Salford, by the way. Shorrocks, Richardson, he gets it out wide right. There's nothing doing there. There's no space for Masters. He's going to be enveloped in the ears.
Yeah, he was given nothing, was he, by Jake Thewlis?
Nothing at all. There's Richardson again. Richardson drops the ball off to Ormondroyd. Jack Ormondroyd. Played every game bar that 82-0 thrashing in the first game of the season, the big man. Brierley. They go down the right flank, but again, no space. Brierley was unhappy with some of the running that was happening off the ball and the angles that were being run, and it came to nothing, and Warrington were able to deal with what threat there was, and it didn't amount to very much in the end from that very good field position.
They've got an opportunity here now, and that is to really put the squeeze on the Warrington Wolves. They'll put them in a corner. They need a clean set in defence, and they'll have another good shot. But you're right, it wasn't a special end to the set, was it? Ran themselves into a corner.
Warrington 8th on the league ladder, and next week Salford have a home game against Castleford, but they've conceded a penalty here, and they've done everything John Wells advised them not to do.
Kane Robb just, he's protesting, but he's just had a second bite at the ruck there. It was a relatively slow play, the ball, but again, the Wolves full set now into the Salford half.
Well, there's another lone player, Kane Robb, Cass, and Salford this season have arranged more loans in your local high street bank. Warrington now are back in possession inside the Salford half. That's a wild pass, and it's picked up by Josh Thewlis this time, and Thewlis is away, and he'll fancy a run here. Oh, it's gone forward. I'm not even sure he was trying to pass it deliberately. I think it squirmed free from his grasp, but it was forward to Georgie Williams.
But the intent is there, and this is the danger. You get an early score against a side you're expected to beat heavily, and let's not beat around the bush. The Warrington Wolves are still under a deal of pressure, And the temptation is to overplay, to think that you're going to put somebody through a gap every single time you're in possession, to think you're going to score points every single time you're in possession. And I was a little bit loose from the Warrington Wolves.
5 seconds.
There is Paul Rowley and the Salford Red Devils coaching staff. Sam Burgess, Martin Gleeson having a bit of a conversation, perhaps about tightening up and being a little bit more conservative in possession in the early stage of this game.
Well, the expectation from outside Warrington will be this is an abacus job and they've got to be scoring 40, 50, 60, otherwise it's a failure. And it's a danger that Warrington can allow themselves to fall into that mentality and not do the simple basics. Because you've got to do the simple basics before you can turn on the style, John, right?
Yeah, they can't short-circuit the process, can they? You've got to respect the opposition. Now, I know they've had an absolutely torrid season, but you can tell this is the side of goers, and they are rolling their sleeves up. And as I said before, they have the attacking tools to trouble any side when in position.
Nicarima has certainly got the tools, and now Chris Hankinson stepping inside, but stepping into traffic. Central position now, 20 metres away from the try line. Shorrocks has seen a lot of the football. Richardson, a bit of juggling goes on there, but Salford maintains possession, and Paul Vaughan with the bear hug challenge. And it is, I think, a penalty here. The whistle has gone from Liam Rush, it is. Yeah,
Danny Richardson skittled after making the pass. It was an improvised ball back on the inside to Dan Russell. Danny Richardson, I think, must have slid 10 metres off the floor. It's Fitzgibbon that comes in fraction late. And again, another penalty conceded by the visitors.
Well, rare indeed this season, as we've already outlined, for the Warrington Wolves. And Salford again with dream field position here, very close to the wire try line. And they're having to work hard in defence early doors here, Warrington. Shorrocks again, he just about clings on, but again, I think signs that that ball is a little bit greasy. It rained heavily pre-match, and the playing surface will be damp. So every time the ball hits the surface, it's going to absorb moisture. And it makes it just a touch too. Oh, Chris Hill now stepping like a three-quarter, offloads brilliantly. The kick through. Who's on the end of it? It's a Warrington hand. Still this, but it will be another 6 here. As Dan Russell shoves his former teammate over the dead ball line, and the Wolves will have to drop out.
Well, there's creativity there. Kane Robb with a kick, but it came on the second tackle. I mean, look, if you've scored 18 tries in the season, spend a bit more time in that area. Don't potentially kick the ball away on the second. As it turns out, the chase was good, and they'll get to resume hostilities in the right area of the field, will Salford.
Well, the 13 players out on the paddock for Salford haven't been used to scoring tries. Their top try scorer this season is Denny McDonald with 3 in Super League, and he's not playing. He's just one of a host of stars no longer available to Paul Rowley, and there's so many of them, John. It's half the first choice 13, 17, call it what you will, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. It's you know, a point we'll expand on later, but you imagine taking 8 of your first 17 out of any team and trying to play fluent rugby league, and that's what the Red Devils are trying to do week in, week out. Oh dear, intercepted. The idea was right from Nicarima, but Crowther was on the money, wasn't he? Anticipated that really well.
Yes, Geordie Crowther was the artful dodger there. The pickpocketry on Jaden Nicarima, and the Wolves are back in possession. So they've had 3 good chances down there, the Salford Red Devils, and they've all come to nothing. So 3 chances to score points, to score tries, and they've come up dry with 0 against their name. And the Wolves lead as the offload comes from ball to the try scorer. Duffy's off again. Matt Duffy trying to swat away Richardson. He did it to a degree, but in the end the cavalry arrived in the form of Ethan Ryan. Here is Williams. It's a high pass. It's too high for Jake Thulis. It must be thinking, what's going on out here? Put one in my bread basket, I'll score every time.
Again.
You've given me 2 passes, George, and they haven't been on the money.
But the area, that was the area of the field to attack. They were absolutely shot, the Salford Red Devils, but the answer is to go through the hands, be patient. And they've come unstuck again.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, as a 20-year-old winger still making your name in the game, you're hardly going to turn around and give the England captain a spray, are you? But he must feel like it.
No, absolutely. Yeah, 2 really difficult balls. The first one he managed to pouch, but then was denied by Issa Masters. That one, just too much mustard on it, too high. Dan Russell coming from the field for a head injury assessment. So the Red Devils been forced into an early replacement. It's Tiaki Chan who joins the fray.
Well, that will be a blow both to the player himself and to the Red Devils, because Dan Russell was looking forward to playing this game against the team that still holds his registration on loan from the Warrington Wolves. But now he must go for the head injury assessment, and we don't know if we'll see Dan Russell out on the paddock again this evening. We've played 18 minutes, Warrington lead by 6. Williams keeping it simple this time, all right. And that is Stone, you can tell by the crowd's reaction, who's in possession. Now it's Crowther. Crowther is close, but the ball has been dropped. The ball has been spilled. Salford pick it up. The whistle's gone though. Nicarima was off to the races, but the starting gates were closed, and Liam Rush says we're going to have to put the scrum line.
Right, and there's some frustration here from the Warrington Wolves that they're claiming it was a player taken out off the ball. The referee's made his decision. And again, this confidence that was gained from the victory against Hull, I think it's a thin veneer, Rod. And I think if the Red Devils scratch it enough, I think you could break through that pretty easily. Yeah, it was Yates who was taken out by Hill. And now, I mean, is that dissent? You can see this in the Warrington Wolves, that they're just chirping and asking questions, and that's a monster clearing kick from, it was Danny Richardson's group, wasn't it?
You don't have to go back too far to find a time when Danny Richardson was the next big thing in Super League 2018, when in that brilliant season at Saints, John, you'll recall it. Justin Holbrook was there, wasn't he, I think, then, and then it went wrong, and he went to Cass, and that didn't quite work, and he's drifted around a little bit, OKR, and it hasn't quite worked. That's not to say it won't at some point. He's clearly got the talent.
I think he's a good player. He's a very good player. Just he hasn't yet found a consistency of selection or performance. Really,
Masters now on that right flank, and Warrington have conceded a lot of tries down their left this season. We saw it again last week when Harvey Barron scored for Hull, and now they come to the other side this time. Salford and Toby Warren, I think, has clung on to that football just about there, just about held on to it. Nicarima to Hankinson, and Hankinson stumbling forward, and that will be that. And another attack inside the Warrington red zone fizzles out, and that has been rather the pattern of play every time Salford have put pressure on Warrington. The attack has fizzled out, or Warrington have dealt with it pretty comfortably, in all honesty.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, you know, there's got to be a dominant call from a halfback. I think they've been in this position a few times now. Twice they've tried to run short sides, last tackle. They're putting an awful lot of energy into this defensive set, but you go when 10 metres out from the opposition goal line, a senior player, a Brierley, a Richardson, and Nicarima's got to dominate an overcall.
I can't imagine I'm the only one thinking this, and I bet Salford supporters are, and Paul Rowland, his coaching staff too. If only they had Mark Sneed pulling the strings for this team. But he left in March to join Warrington, and he was very much the string puller last season, what was a very successful season for Salford. When they reached the playoffs, they didn't go too far. They lost to Leigh, didn't they, in the playoffs? And Warrington were within an ace of reaching the grand final, losing that thriller at Hull KR in the semi-final when Fieldless was on goal-kicking duty and misfired with a couple of conversions, and they went down narrowly to Willie Peters' side. There's Chan now off the bench with Russell in the HIA room at the moment. And Salford now.
That's better. Two decent runs. Tiaki Chan and Isan Masters, bit of momentum here.
Chorrocks going well tonight. Oh, that's a meaty challenge. Meaty hit from George Williams on Nicarima, his opposite number. He did there, yeah. Floated kick from Richardson towards the try line. There's Thewlis, took that well, and he's off to the races. Thewlis now, Josh Thewlis in it. Oh, he's on it, picked up by Chorrocks. Chorrocks, can they get it wide here? Richardson's got it wide. Ethan Ryan going here, and he scored. Ethan Ryan scores. And again, Warrington concede down their left and the opponent's right. And this time it's Ethan Ryan gets to the try line. his first of the season, and he scored the try that could level the scores here.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was just about to comment on how I admired the footwork of Josh Pulis and getting himself out of trouble, but he forgot the most important thing, and that was security of possession. The ball bounced loose, and then the Red Devils really well to spot the opening and get across to the other side of the field. This is the footwork I'm talking about. The start of this run was excellent. I think that there's a number of Warrington players that are really good, but straight off the back of that, they find space. Danny Richardson does a really good job just to commit Conor Wrench enough. And Ethan Ryan, well, he still had some work to do, didn't he? And don't they celebrate that? Try number 19, 1-9 of the 2025 season. Danny Richardson's done really well there to draw in defenders. Ethan Ryan's burst 3 tackles to score. 4-6, kick to come. Wow.
Well, this is a match levelling chance. Will be all square over halfway through the first stanza if this is nailed. And it's not. And when you don't score many tries, you've got to turn the 4 into 6. He hasn't added the extra juice.
Yeah, it's unlike Chris as well, because he's an accomplished goal kicker. But Ethan Ryan, that was some finish. I think the more you watch this, the greater the appreciation you have for the finishing ability, because there was still plenty of work to do, and the Salford Red Devils fans are up in number. They've got something to cheer about. They've got something to shout about. The Red Devils are on the board.
Well, I'm starting to lose count of the number of times Warrington have conceded a try to the opposition's right winger. It happened in the cup final with absolutely disastrous results in the last minute to Tom Davies. It happened last week, Barron scored. Happened the week against Huddersfield. I think it's 11 times in 16 Super League matches now. If someone like me can notice it, I'm sure Sam Burgess has noticed it. It doesn't matter who they have on the left wing. They seem to concede down there.
I think it's just that combination, isn't it? That left edge combination has chopped and changed. Fitzgibbon, the left back row, making the tackle, had a period out during the season. Sneed's a relative newcomer to the side. You've got Conor Wrench and Toby King, they've interchanged, so that is not a stable right edge, is it? I think the more you train and practice and play together, the more of an understanding you get. Well, that's a decent set in defence, though, for the Warrington Wolves. And Matt Duffy's going to return this probably on or close to the halfway line by the time he's tackled.
You might have seen there that Wigan Champions League at Lee, 6-0. That a very high-scoring game compared with their first match this season. It's another knock-on here, by the way.
What was I saying about that veneer, that thin veneer of confidence, Rod? They're just, I think they're trying too hard at the moment. They're in fourth gear when they need to kick it down a bit and complete a couple of sets.
Well, we've seen that a bit in the last 2 weeks of Salford matches. They played Hull here, and Hull, you know, it might have looked on the face of it a pretty sort of lacklustre performance by Hull, but they laid the platform and got some joy late on and won easy in the end. Saints likewise last week, I thought. There was nothing particularly flash early on from St Helens, but they ground their way to a big enough lead and then ran riot at the end, and the scoreline blew out. And I think Paul Wellers will be delighted the way that win was constructed. And Sam Burgess, as you've alluded to, John, will be frustrated with the fact that they haven't done those simple basics too well so far.
You hear all, it's a buzzword in rugby league, has been for ages, all the coaches talk about the processes, right? But when you boil it down to the process, in possession is completing your sets and putting the ball into corners of the field. Riley, I'll tell you, that's a good footwork.
I'll tell you what, Steed had to be in there on the stop. And Shorrock, we've seen a lot of him tonight. Here comes Richardson, Nicarima, and Salford threatening the go-ahead score here.
Great tackle, brilliant tackle, Thewlis.
With assistance from Roderick Tye. Richardson, Shorrock was caught high. That's a penalty, and it's a gift 2 points. Yeah. Coach Wells is screaming to bring the kicking tee on. What is Coach Rowley saying?
I think Danny Richardson had his hands up in the air, I think, before the player had hit the ground.
Well, Coach Rowley is very close to us, actually, up on this TV gantry. Wellesley can go and have a chat with him a bit, find out what he's thinking, but it's the easiest of 2 points. It really is. Well, the tee is on. It's in the hands of Chris Hankinson.
And there wasn't much in it, was there? What really was Ben Curry, who just snaked a right arm out. Caught Shorrock's just high, and this one will be a gimme for Hankinson. The scores will be level. Nearly half an hour gone. And if you'd have tried to sell this to Paul Rowley before kick-off, it'd have bit your hand off, I'm sure.
Over it goes, 6 apiece. Well, what on earth is Sam Burgess thinking?
Why is it 6 apiece? That's what he'll be thinking. And he know the answer to that. And he will want this half-time so he can get a message to his charges. It's just calm down. The playing, the passing is grabby, it's snatchy. Everything they look trying to do it at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Like the sooner they get her for another try, everything will settle down.
Well, Matt Duffy scored the simplest of stroll-ins on 7 minutes, and at that point you thought it's a guess the score job, not who but how many. And suddenly it's a very different question being posed now, because Warrington have started to make mistakes. They bombed a couple of chances, and George Williams hasn't found Jake Thulis adequately on that left wing, but since then they've made mistakes, and Salford have scored and now kicked a penalty 6 each.
They've been awesome this side of the ball. I mean, you look at what Salford have been able to do here. You know, 2 tackles left in the set, still fighting to get out their own 20. This side of it is on. It's in possession, where I think in yardage they've been jittery, and in attack they've been impatient.
Away from home, they've only won twice this season. Warrington, they've lost 4 games. Lost Wigan, Leeds, Wakefield and Leeds. Oh, that's a good kick, it is. Oh, now it's all unravelling here for Warrington. Thulis couldn't get there. And it's going to be Salford ball. And they're in the red zone again here. And Warrington under the cosh.
Well, those who do the homework will know that Danny Richardson is a consummate kicker from hand. And it got a lucky turn, didn't it? Jake Thulis just couldn't bring that in. But another chance for the Red Devils.
Well, John, it's better to be lucky than good, and Richardson is both on that occasion. Rob in at hooker here as they look to score twice in a matter of a few minutes. They go down that right again. Masters puts the brakes on, now accelerates into Duffy. Crowther is there as well. And Warrington having all sorts of difficulties putting him down. Ooh, that was a loose pass. And it's going to be another penalty here. Warrington are making mistake after mistake after mistake. We said they were the cleanest team in the comp, but they've not been tonight.
And do you know what? I think, ironically, I don't think you take the 2 here. I think you another penalty conceded. You've levelled the scores up. You've got your tails up. I think this is the point where you do spend some time down this end of the field and you try and apply a bit of pressure to a side that is clearly lacking in confidence.
You say that, Coach Wells, but
I know,
Coach Rowley has got another idea, and that's to tell Chris Hankinson to put that through the post and put us 8-6 up, Chris. And the kicking tee's out, and it's a chance here for Hanko to put them 8-6 in front. Well, last season they won here, Salford, against Warrington. They won by 17 points to 12. Braley, Laffey and Mellor won the score sheet then for Paul Rowley's team. That was a surprise. This would be a seismic shock if they win this, and they are in front, and we've played over half an hour. So let's get it right here. Salford now are quite literally 49 minutes away from the biggest shock of possibly this or any other Super League season. 49 minutes is a long time in rugby league, though, John Wells.
Yeah, I don't think that 2 points.
49 seconds could be a long time in rugby league, John.
I don't think that 2 points is going to be. I think it's going to be enough. I think the Red Devils are going to have to score a few more points.
I'll come back to you on that one, possibly after 79 minutes.
No, I'll say that with confidence. But look, I will caveat by saying I think Warrington have got to really smarten themselves up in possession. They've probably got now is you've got a Red Devil side who is just starting to believe a little bit.
Well, the odds makers made Warrington 38 points favourites in this match. They're going to get the ball here. Double knock on, I feel. What does Liam Rush adjudicate? Yes, he agrees. It's a double knock on. So Salford first, the offenders, by spilling the pill, and Warrington did likewise. So the Wolves are going to get the ball. Yeah,
again, the idea was right. They took a short side. They had a man advantage, but Toby Warren just couldn't collect the pass. They're seeing things out there, the Red Devils. Certainly the right area of the field to attack. just couldn't execute.
There'll be people watching this on Sky Sports looking at the scoreline and thinking they're seeing things, John. 8-6 to Salford here. 7.5 minutes to go before half-time.
Here's Connor Wrench first, another one with good footwork. Both Ulysses, Dufty, Wrench. Very good footwork at the line.
Can Warrington right the wrongs before half-time? And I think even if they do score, Sam Burgess's half-time team talk will be pretty interesting. You could sell tickets to hear that, John, I'm sure, because Sam Burgess is going to have to sort out a few problems here in the Warrington Wolves changing room at half-time. Otherwise, it's going to be a very awkward evening. Curry offloads, just strolling again here. So easy. Really was. James Harrison absolutely sauntering in for a try here for the second season running. That came in defeat last year. That is one that puts Warrington Wolves back in front.
This was a lot better. The build-up to it was a lot better. Ben Curry with options inside and out. You look at the way they set this play up. Curry's the point man, and he has Dufty on his inside, Harrison on his outside. Makes it a really difficult defensive read. Oh, Williams it was on the inside, and Shorrocks just went for the inside ball, freed up Harrison on the outside. Really smart play. It's a set-up play. Wide ball from dummy half, inside, outside. Harrison strolls through untouched the left-hand side of the upright. Sneed adds the extras.
In many ways, it was very simple to the first try, very similar to the first try, and simple like the first try, because it was just a bust down the middle, an offload to the supporting man. On the first time, it was quite predictably Matt Dufty. The second time, less predictably, big James Harrison did the necessary. Two simple tries, 10-8 Warrington.
It was a well-constructed insofar as where they put bodies. The wide pass from dummy half, and then just targeting one man, and it was Joe Shorrocks who had a man inside and outside. Chiaki Chan had to come in the end, and Harrison strolls through. You can come back to me now on that 2 points and whether it was enough, Rod.
Could yet be the difference. We don't know, John, do we?
Move, Chris! Hold! Wait! Go on.
So Warrington now with a 4-point advantage on the cusp of half-time, and maybe that will settle the nerves, because they must have been jangling a little bit when those two penalties from Chris Hankinson edged Salford Red Devils into a very unlikely lead. But Warrington now, bear in mind this is the first meeting between these two teams this season. Salford have played Saints a number of times, 3 I think, so the fixture list is a bit lopsided. That looked a little high, but Liam Rush is happy to allow it to go on. Curry on Ethan Ryan, the Salford try scorer. And as John has already pointed out during this contest, Warrington, without the ball, have been very strong. Salford have hardly been able to breathe with ball in hand. Here is Hankinson. Hankinson again has got nowhere to go. The tackle's already running out as the HIA is reversed. Dan Russell is able to come back into the fray, the man on loan from the Warrington Wolves. Jackie Chan with a short burst on the field.
That's great for
squeezed away Masters. But
I think he's been hard done to there. He never stopped. He was always fighting. I know the referee has the whip hand there, and he decides when the tackle is completed, but Isan certainly felt there was a little bit of life in that play yet. 2 plays to go. Wilson this time squares up back in the middle. They've done all right here. They've got themselves out of trouble, Salford.
From up on high, it seemed as though the play was still live, but it looked a lot different to referee Liam Rush at ground level. He blew the whistle. Here is Thewlis, the younger Thewlis, running straight into the returning Russell, and a 3-man Salford attacking. The defending crew comes in. Richardson's in there too. Masters in there, and a penalty is blown. 3 was too many, and they were on too long, and the whistle goes, and Warrington get the penalty, and there could be more for Warrington before half-time here. Still over 3 minutes left of playing time in the first half at the Salford Community Stadium. Can they put daylight between the teams?
Yeah, and for all the good work that Salford had done, just, again, naive play early in the tackle count defensively, conceded the penalty. Look how it changes and flips the dynamic. They end up defending once again, and it's just too much on the ball, wasn't it? That was the reason for the penalty conceded.
Joe filming, rumbling forward. Here's Sneed out the back to Williams. They combine beautifully. Wrench can't escape Briley.
Good scramble, Salford, that.
But the combination there between Williams and Sneed worked well. This is Dufty, the other pivot, if you will, the other playmaker, Matt Dufty from fullback. And he really has come back in fine form, bearing in mind, as John mentioned earlier, that fractured eye socket in the cup final. Awful injury. Back to some effect against Hull, and already scored here tonight. There's the kick from Williams, prodded through towards his right-hand flank, and touchdown in goal, was it? Yes, it was. Grounded by Briley. It'll be a dropout. Defuses the kick in. But they will have to defend this.
All the experience in the world. So Briley's tracking the back of the line as a fullback. He should always be a metre inside the ball, tracks it from a distance, and then he sees George Williams shaping for a kick. He can then get his foot down, go and cover the ground, and be the first one to make this ball, this live threat dead. All the experience in the world there from Briley.
Well, as I mentioned, some talk of him possibly being lured away from Salford, though the Red Devils resisting it, with Oldham waving a few banknotes in their direction, and Oldham seems to have plenty of money to spend.
Move now, Dan. Ryan back.
It's Harrison, the scorer of Warrington's latest try. Fitzgibbon charges into Chris Hill, can't get the arm free to get the ball away. Robin Hill did well there. Crowther again. No Sam Powell in the 17 tonight. That's a knock on, and they'll enjoy that here at the Salford Community Stadium, because it's one of their own who's knocked on, Mark Sneed.
Yeah, it wasn't a great ball, was it, from dummy half? I mean, Jordy Crowther is not a recognised hooker. Clearly, you know, they're missing Danny Walker out, they're missing Sam Powell just a little bit too far out in front of Mark Sneed, and he's annoyed and frustrated at the situation, because there's another attacking opportunity up in smoke there.
Yeah, Walker is a big miss, isn't he? That goes without saying. Hooker, their regular hooker, one of the best in the competition, if not the best in the competition. And so they're having to make do and mend Warrington, as a lot of teams are, as we get to this kind of midpoint of the season.
Yeah, you don't talk about making do and mending when you're at the Salford Red Devils. I mean, they have been the kings of it. I mean,
Fair point, John.
The fact that they're able to put a competitive side out again, you know, I think all these guys are heroes anyway for what they're doing. Look at them now, Harlem Globetrotter stuff.
Chris Hill offloaded, and Jake Shorrock was not in. Joe Shorrock was not in the wide awake club at all, and the hooter goes in any case. After a fascinating first stanza at the Salford Community Stadium, where Salford led after just over half an hour, 8 points to 6, but Warrington regained the lead. They led early with a try from Dufty. Ryan for Salford, a couple of hankies and timekeepers, and his siren did his best to interrupt there the bench. And the verdict, 3:30 p.m. Wednesday, Sky Sports News. You got it that time. Okay, second half about to set off here in Salford. Chris Hankinson goes long, left foot in. Salford 8, Warrington 12, 40 minutes separating Salford from a potential second win of the season, or Warrington from a back-to-back victory after their win over Hull for the second time, well, for the first time since way back in March when they beat Saints and Leeds. How do you assess the second stanza for us, John?
Well, it's one that, as you saw from the half-time stats, the Warrington Wolves, despite the lead they hold, the narrow lead they hold, completion rate, again, the fundamentals, the basics, the processes that coaches always talk about, clearly not there, or not to the standard that we expect from the Wolves and Sam Burgess would expect from his men. I would imagine that would have been key amongst the discussions in the dressing room. This is a fairly aggressive defensive set as well from the Red Devils. They've come out and they sniff an opportunity here.
Well, Warrington started this match 3 points off the top 6 in 8th spot, and they won't be moving even if they win. They can go up 1 spot, but to do so they'd need to win by 172 points. I think we can eliminate that possibility. And Salford are going to stay propping up the pile even if they win this game, but they would move a couple of points closer to the team just above them, the Huddersfield Giants, who enjoyed a victory themselves last evening at the Jungle over the Salford Tigers. And Huddersfield, the only victims of Salford so far this seaon.
Moving square.
Came way back in March, the 20th of March, when Huddersfield were beaten 23-10. And back-to-back wins it was, because they also beat Bradford in the Challenge Cup. But since then, nothing to celebrate, nothing to put in the W column for the Salford Red Devils. But they've got possession here.
We're hearing that Sam Burgess was only in the dressing room for 6 or 7 minutes in that half-time. So whatever he's had to say, it was shortened to the point, Rod, and I would imagine maybe a few decibels as well.
It could be one of those classic coaching team talks. You've got us into this mess, go out there and get us out of it. And there's another penalty to Salford. It's Stone, the former Salford Red Devil, who's conceded a penalty for a high tackle. They're 4 behind. Coach Wells is not going to call for the kicking tee, I don't think.
Yeah, but Salford are, I think.
Coach Rowley, I can see him about 10 yards to my left, and he's scratching his chin like an ancient Greek philosopher. What's his philosophy here? Is it to take 2 points, or is it to keep the roll on?
Well, he's clearly he's going for goal, and you're going, well, what it can only be just to apply the pressure. He's seen what we've seen and what everybody else at home can see, a jittery Warrington Wolves. So you keep the pressure on them on the scoreboard. You perhaps start to tease a few more of those mistakes and errors out of the Warrington Wolves, because they're going to feel that pressure. This is the Salford Red Devil side, who shouldn't be within cooey of you, that are within 2 points, within striking distance on the field.
Well, Hankinson here has the ball on the tee. It's one he ought to kick. It's one he ought to kick. It's one he has kicked.
So the second penalty for Hankinson, the first score of the second half, and the arrears are reduced to just 2 points.
Third penalty done. They keep knocking over 2 points. 6 points to Hankinson, and he missed the conversion to the try, remember, as well. So he's nibbled away at Warrington with 3 2-pointers, but when you're not scoring tries, and John's already alluded to that several times, he's made it quite clear, they've only scored 19 tries all season. We're in the 17th match of the Super League season, Salford, so they're struggling to put 4 on the board, and so just keep taking 2s, because 2 2s make 4, so they keep doing that. A couple of those penalties equal 1 try that they're struggling to score. Yeah. Maybe that's the philosophy.
You get the ball back as well. You get the opportunity to set up camp once again at the right end of the field.
But you have to hold it, John. If you get the ball back for the kick-up and drop it near your own line, then you really are causing a problem.
Which is what the Warrington Wolves have done. I mean,
it hasn't happened here, though, because they're away again. Nicarima tried to spray it out wide left, but it was batted down by Ty and picked up by Dufty. Well, some good defensive work. You might say there was an element of fortune to it, but they made the break, and Nicarima was away. And when you see him in full flight, it's a tremendous sight if he's your team with the ball.
And I think if he had his time again, great work from Masters in the build-up. If he had his time again, he'd just take the tackle here, because I think that Warrington Wolves side was split, was done, would maybe not have regrouped in time, and who knows what would have come in the next set. But you don't get reruns, unfortunately, in this game, so they're back into defence, which I don't think they've shirked, have they? Not in the opening 4 or 5 minutes of this second half. They've really got the shoulders in.
As we both know, John, no pass has been misplaced from up on the TV gantry, and every pass has been spotted and executed perfectly from up here. Sneed trying to execute the kick perfectly, prodding it towards the goal line, collected on the goal line by Connell, and knocked down 10 metres from his own line. Ethan Ryan coming in off the right wing to get some work done, and spotting half a gap in the left centre position. Roderick Tye is there to make the stop. And Salford, buoyed by that penalty goal, cutting the lead from 4 to 2. Just 1 penalty between the teams now, and who's not to say they won't get another one that Chris Hankinson can convert. Coming to the end of this set here, though, Shorrocks. Nicarima busts the tackle. Nicarima drops off a simple ball this time. That, this time, is Hankinson. And now Brierley, they're throwing it around here very nicely. Shorrocks taken down by Philbin and by Crowther. Couple left in this sequence. The kick comes from Danny Richardson. It's high. It's easy enough for Thulis on this left wing, the younger Thulis. Tackle is missed and Thulis breaks that one. He won't break the tackle from Chris Hill. Chris Hill envelops the young winger.
He's done well there, but then so have Salford. I think it's a really positive set from deep in their own end. I think there's a couple of players that stood out. Ethan Ryan with a nice little run. With some beautiful movement from Nicarima once again. This is better from Warrington. That's a great run from Conor Wrench. Very nearly through Briley to the rescue.
Briley makes the tackle, but is it just delaying the Warrington onslaught? George Williams striding through. Better here from Warrington.
So Briley, the fullback, is out of commission here.
He's down into the back play. Well spotted, John. Here is Ben Curry.
You watch for the kick. You watch for Williams for the kick here. There's no fullback in place.
And there it is, John, from Williams. Floated, bouncing ball, picked up by Dufty. Dufty! Can he get there? No, he cannot. He is denied. Tiaki Chan with the muscle. And it did seem that he was going to get there, Dufty. And he almost managed to, as he was being taken to ground, pivot and get it squeezed down to the try line. He did everything but score, but Tiaki Chan had him in a bear hug and wouldn't let him over the line.
No, he's done so well here, because Dufty, for all money, maybe there was a knock on there into a Salford player, but I think that little extra shove was needed, and Ryan Briley, who's still receiving treatment on the halfway line, would have thanked his teammate there, because that's exactly where Briley should have been had he not taken a knock to the head. And he's actually going to leave the field, is Briley, and that's a big loss for the Red Devils. That's going to force another reshuffle. It's a head injury assessment for the experienced fullback, who made a cracking cover tackle on Conor Wrench, who burst through the middle of the field for Warrington.
Well, they've got players who can play fullback. Whether they play that position as well as Ryan Briley is a different matter. But they've got Hankinson and they've got Connell.
They've got Ethan Ryan.
They've got Ryan there as well. So they've got three players amongst the outside backs who can shift to the last line of defence, but then they've got to bring someone else on to play in the role that's vacated by one of those three. And we all know how solid Briley is at the back, but how dangerous he is with ball in hand up the other end of the paddock.
Well, your replacement, your head injury assessment replacement, is Justin Sangare, and I can confidently say he's not going to go into the fullback position, Rod. So,
what gives you that impression, John?
It's a question of who and what the reshuffle looks like. But again, I mean, this won't faze the Red Devils. They've had that many disruptions through the year. I suppose that's one of the, the real unintended benefits as the Warrington Wolves go hunting. And there's a fair bit of aggro off the back of this, and it's Fitzgibbon he's gone after Tiaki Chan, and that boy's got a short fuse.
Pushing and shoving, frustrations, temperature rising, saucepan coming to the boil here, and I don't think we'd be seeing this if Warrington were 30 points clear, but they're too clear, and this is becoming a very awkward assignment for the Warrington Wolves.
Yeah, it's the initial contact was high, wasn't it? And then Red Devils players have got in to let Lachlan Fitzgibbon know. Not against my teammate. I was just going to make the point. The unintended, not benefit, because that's not the right word, but one of the things you never kind of rationalise for is just how adept a side that's have to deal with chop and change every week can arguably manage better when these things happen in a game. So Ryan Briley, first choice fullback, off the field. Hankinson's gone into the fullback position.
Well, we often talk about do teams practice these scenarios in training, but as you've alluded to, John, Salford are practicing it every week, virtually in game time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that can be a benefit. I think you're right to suggest that. And now, Rob, at dummy half. Now, Nicarima having an increasing influence on this rugby match. Taken down. He looked threatening to go through, but was taken down by Williams in the end. Salford here, threatening again. Exhilarating stuff with ball in hand. Ormond drawing. They're close here, 12 metres out, very central position. They're only two behind. Is there a huge upset on the cards here? Shorrocks. And that was Richardson. And this is Masters. Isan Masters. Their big signing in the off-season from Huddersfield. 10 metres out. Two tackles left. Rob comes right. Richardson now directing traffic. The kick through, well collected by Matt Dufty. He did well there, to be fair. Very well inside his own in-goal area. Got out of jail too while he was at it.
Yeah, again, the ball should not end up on the fifth tackle and attack instead. Kane Robb! Wow! He's come out of the line and he's absolutely banjoed Conor Wrench.
Oh my.
And there's afters on the outside, but it's nothing to do with the tackle, which was perfectly legal. It was a legitimate tackle, as far I could say, not high anyway. But Danny Richardson and Matt Duffy are having words here. But take a look at the tackle. Kane Robb, he's decided, well, I'm going to change the momentum here for my team, and I'm going to come out with an absolute bell ringer. Sits him on his backside and then gives him a bit of a verbal as well. That's a great shot. You can see Conor Wrench having a bit of a smile, and Kane Robb's going, don't take this moment away from me. That's a brilliant shot. Highlight of the night in defence from the Red Devils.
They had the air of the heavyweight boxing champions standing over a man he just knocked out.
This next carry will be interesting, won't it?
And he's been told to get back to a neutral corner and allow Wrench to play the ball. But that's all it will be, a play the ball after the dust has settled. Steph Ratchford, another former Salford player, on the pitch. George Williams having a chat here with the referee. This is a tough night at the office for the Warrington Wolves captain and his team.
Yeah. Referee Liam Rush just reminding his players that this is a decent game of rugby we've got here, and for the lads not to get too overexcited. But you watch this line speed now. Oh,
Rob is having an absolute birthday out there. Ratchford.
And again. And again, and the Red Devils.
That's King off today's bench being given a welcoming greeting by this Salford defence, and they're really flying in now. They just need to make sure it all stays within the rules of the game and pin Warrington in there, because one loose hand will concede the penalty, and that will be an issue. Right. The kick comes from Steed, and it came from close to his own line, in point of fact, picked up by Chris Hankinson, and he's almost on the halfway line when he takes this tackle. In fact, he might get into the Warrington half. He's right on the strike. Well, great field position here for the Salford Red Devils. Richardson, they've got their tails up here. They're on top. They're behind on the scoreboard by 2, but they're on top on the pitch at this moment in time, I think it's fair to say.
There's no two ways about it. They've taken the handbrake off, haven't they, in the last 5 or 6 minutes. But it's the Warrington Wolves' chance to return serve now. Just a small stoppage in play as the markers get set. There's going to be some heavy contact in this set as well, but I'm looking to see the ball players where they're set up. They split the halves. Richardson and Nicarima are split. Shorrock's the ball player, goes into the line. You'd like to see them same side of the field.
Got it away to Rob. Rob looking for options, looking to offload. In the end, he has to take the tackle here. Game on a knife edge here at the Salford Community Stadium. Well, they're looking for Sangare, and he can't get his arm free, can't collect the ball. It's a penalty.
He was tackled off the ball. Sangare was tackled off the ball because Nicarima's gone through. He's looked for him, and he was being pulled back by a Warrington Wolves player. And George Williams remonstrates with the referee, but it's the correct decision. You could see that in real time. Sangare was offering support on the inside, and as true to form, Chris Hankinson will go for penalty number 4 to square this game up.
Well, there were those that questioned each and every one of these penalties that Hankinson has kicked and is about to kick.
Who was that?
I can't remember.
I think I questioned the first one. I think I shut up after that.
So Hankinson has kicked 1, 2, 3 penalties, and this is his 4th. He did miss the conversion to the try by Ryan. And if Chris Hankinson can make it 4 penalties on the night, this game will be all square. And that was a long shot after 52 minutes. There's no question about that. So Hankinson, with his left boot, strokes it through, and the game is tied.
And you can trace that, the 2 points from Salford, all the way back to that defining tackle, that hit by Kane Robb. I think that changed the tempo of the game. It kicked the Red Devils up a gear, and from there they were in the driving seat, and they've earned a penalty in the right area of the field, and true to form, they've taken the points that have been on offer. It's amazing, isn't it, in sport in general and in rugby league in particular. Oh, it's a brilliant take, what a flying take as well. How quickly momentum can change on one moment, one action by one player.
Oh, the Superman catch from Nathan Correll. Sangare now. Remember on as a head injury assessment replacement. initially, at any rate, for Ryan Brierley. Squirms free, manages to get out of the tackle, play the ball. Rob again, who's had a wow the last 5 minutes here. The Salford hooker. Well, they're absolutely buzzing here.
What about this for a take? I mean, that's unbelievable. That's great stuff from Connell.
Well, Salford buzzing, and as one of my friends would say, it's buzzing like an old fridge here, Salford. 53 minutes gone, and they've squared it up at 12 apiece. Well, when we arrived here, it was unthinkable that Warrington could lose this game. It's not now. Was that a late hit on the kicker? Referee says play on. Warrington have the ball, and the game continues.
There's obviously, Danny Richardson's been collected here. And this may be one that, the referee on the field has said that this is fine, but this is one that the video referee may take a look at. He may choose to have a look at this. Danny Richardson in the act of kicking has been taken. There's no force in it. Steph Ratford, isn't it? There's no force in the tackle, but the guy's in the air, he's in a vulnerable position.
Well, what will be the verdict here? And it's important because it's a massive swing. Video ref is going to adjudicate, I think, or at least pass the information on to Liam Rush.
You're in the way of play, mate. It's going to be a green card.
Yeah, so this is the green card that's coming out because Danny Richardson is forced a stoppage in play. He spent an extended period down on the floor. The video referee's clearly cleared this, that this is a legitimate tackle. It's not late, it's not off the ball. And the Red Devils will be down to 12. They cannot bring an interchange on in this green card period. So Red Devils now defending with 12.
Well, this could be an issue because they're missing the fullback. So there's a reshuffle there, and now they're literally missing a man because of the green card being pulled out of the pocket. They didn't get the penalty they thought they would get. They didn't get that, and worse than that, the green card came out from referee Liam Rush. Here's George Williams, and Williams has found Dufty, and Dufty going down the outside and still going Dufty, loses his footing, scrambles to his feet, and then is tackled in the end. But for a moment he looks to be heading for the try line for the second time tonight. George Williams. Williams spins a simple ball to Ratsford, to Curry, and Curry goes through the gap. Ben Curry's through here. Ben Curry very close to the line for the Warrington Wolves. And this will be the last tackle in this set. Williams has got it wide, and he's missed his man again. George Williams, for the third time tonight, has failed to find Jake Thewlis free on the left wing, and for the third time tonight, Williams has bombed the try. Thewlis hasn't scored. Warrington have not scored. It's 12-all.
Well, try scoring opportunity. It's just glanced the front of Lachlan Fitzgibbon on the way through. You think that would have been a pass that would have found its mark. Williams, he saw it, he called it, he shot short side. Lachlan Fitzgibbon didn't realise the ball was going across the front of him, and it's just skimmed off his chest.
Well, that was the chance to retake the lead. And Warrington's playoff hopes hanging by a thread here. Sam Burgess has to believe that we'll be there. We will be there. But will they be there come playoff time in September? They were almost there at Old Trafford last year, one match away, but this time they seem a long way away from the theatre of dreams as we talk now. And they're a long way yet of winning this game, never mind anything else, because there's only 25 minutes left and they're not in front. It's 12 each.
That's back up to 13 as well now. Full complement for Salford. Richardson back on the field. Kane Robb out of dummy half. Squirts the ball into the corner. He's making Dufty move here, and his kick chase is really good too.
Dufty is taken down by Masters, and there are 4 Salford Red Devils there to finish off the Australian fullback. Thewlis makes next to no meters either. Jackie Chan is in there with Shorrocks. They're making meters very hard to come by here for the Warrington Wolves. Thewlis the older, Josh Thewlis. And they've already used up 3 tackles here, the Warrington Wolves. They're not yet at the halfway line. Tough yardage for the Wolves. King off the interchange bench. Didn't play against Hull last week, back in the side tonight. And there's a penalty to Warrington as the rain sweeps in.
Late in the tackle count as well, Rod.
That's a big one, John.
Yeah, it is. And they're going to challenge this.
Oh, they are, you're right there. It is the captain's challenge for Salford. Liam Rush calls time off. Liam Moore will have to adjudicate.
Okay, we have a captain's challenge. They're challenging the ruling of interference, so we can see the tackle is complete at this point. So we can see the Salford man still has maintained of his shirt. He's still pulling on the shirt there to get to marker, and he never releases the shirt. Challenge is unsuccessful.
The challenge is unsuccessful. You heard it from Liam Moore, and Liam Rush now passing it on to the team, so it will remain as a Warrington penalty, and Salford have lost the captain's challenge with 24 minutes left, so they can't challenge anything. So Warrington have the challenge up their sleeve if they need it. This is King. King just charges towards the 10-metre line, and the rain really sweeping in now, and I think Warrington have the advantage of the elements behind them here. The wind and the rain is at their backs. Will that help them? Sneed drops it off to Luke Yates. Yates over the 10-metre line. Warrington led in the 7th minute of this match, but at the moment with 56 on the clock, it's all square. Wrench.
Good tackle, Ryan. Anthony as well.
Ryan scored one try at the other end. He saved one there, I feel. Here's Mark Sneed. Vaughan, the enforcer. 3 Salford Red Devils come in. Ryan off the wing again to make an important tackle. He's getting through some work tonight, Ethan Ryan. Ratsford. Sneed prods it through left foot. It's a dangerous kick as it's off. It is from Mark Sneed. It'll produce a goal line dropout as Toby Warren gets it dead.
The scramble from both Warren and Hankinson. He had to get on his bike because it was a lovely kick from Mark Sneed, much more like him. This is the try saver, I think. A step in from Ethan Ryan, who rounds up Conor Wrench, and then the kick was perfectly weighted. It was very much like Mark Sneed.
Well, you talk about jumping the gun, John, but I'm going to do it anyway. We've got 22 minutes left, and we have one of the great Super League drop goal specialists on the field in Mark Sneed, but we also have on the Salford side Brian Brierley, if he gets back on, who has kicked a field goal this season, if it gets closer in the last 10 minutes, etc. and so forth. But Warrington will believe that it comes down to that. Sneed will win the game from it. They may not have to go to the drop goal. They may not need to go to the drop goal well. Can they win it with a try? Ratsford, Curry, Sneed and Duffy, the danger man from fullback. The danger man, Matt Duffy.
Tackle.
A chopping block on Duffy, who threatened to score again. Ratsford, they go to the right this time. Sneed with the kick in the air. Oh, it's picked off. No, it's dropped. It'll be another set. It must be another set. It must have been knocked on.
I'll tell you what, the scramble from the Red Devils is nothing short of brilliant. It is going to be a knock-on against Connell, but the tackle, there's a tackle early in the count here from Hankinson. Take a look at this. It's outstanding stuff, because Duffy, some of the best footwork in Super League. Hankinson stops him dead. That's brilliant rearguard action once again from the Red Devils.
Well, that was a chop block par excellence, wasn't it? Absolutely. Took his legs from underneath him and stopped the Australian fullback in his tracks.
Danger not over here though, Rod. You've got both ball players left-hand side of the scrum. You've got Sneed and Williams. Ratchford at loose forward. Is it a trick ploy? Is this going out to Toby King?
Well, this Salford defence starting to creak like an old barn door. George Williams close to the line. They've got a full set on the try line here. Warrington Wolves. They were the top try scorers in Super League last season. Not this though. Luke Yates. Yates can't get the ball free. 54 tries, 8th in the Super League. They were top last season for points scored. Sneed, Duffy again. Duffy kicks, and it goes to the line. It's a try. It's Thewlis. It's Josh Thewlis. It's the try. And Warrington are back in front from the kick this time, from the master of the try assist.
It was first-class stuff, wasn't it? On the hour mark. Brave as well, really brave. Second tackle, early in the tackle count. They'd knocked on the door a few times, and then Josh Thewlis hugs his touchline and streaks onto the kick. Top draw stuff from the Warrington Wolves. They've misfired a few times, haven't they? But take a look at this. It comes from Duffy, who skips the tackle of Nicarima and then just dribbles it into the corner for Thewlis to chase. The Red Devils had defended admirably. They'd scrambled so well. They just overread on that occasion, got themselves bent out of shape, and Matt Duffy, who spent an awful lot of time clearing those up on the other side of the ball, had a fair idea of where that ball needed to go to evade the cover from the fullback. It drops nicely into the hands of Josh Sulis.
You just got the feeling, John, didn't you, that the petrol gauge was starting to flash red and flash empty on the Salford defence. And Duffy realised that he could put it in behind, off the boot, towed it through, and that man there, Viewless, with the try. His 7th in the Super League this season, his 9th in all competitions. The kick is missed by Mark Sneed. To the delight of the Salford faithful, to the surprise of the Warrington visiting fans, and the lead is 4.
There's a wind that's whipping round this stadium at the moment, and that will have certainly disrupted the kick. Worth taking a look at this. Look at Duffy move on the catch just to get outside Nicarima. And it was a lovely weighted kick, wasn't it, for Josh Sulis to pounce. 4-point lead, or as Salford like to think of it these days, just 2 penalties away.
Yes. Well, that's the other Thewlis, Jake Thewlis, with his ball, his hands on the ball. Ratchford. And they're having to work hard here, Warrington, and they cannot assume this game is finished, because, let's get it right, they led early with the Duffy try, they led close to half-time with the Harrison try, and both times the lead did not last long.
Yeah, good news for Red Devils fans. Ryan Briley passed his HIA. He's back out on the field now, so as Sneed punches a ball far too long in the end and concedes a 7-tackle set, you have Hankinson who reverts to the centre after a spot of heroics, if we're being honest, Rod, in the fullback position over the last 15 minutes.
No question. I'm just checking the stats. That's Matt Duffy's 11th try assist of the season to go with his 5 tries. We've seen 1 of each tonight in those categories. Salford down by 4 now. And the clock ticking away, but what a performance this has been. I wonder what Paul Rowley will make of it. I wonder if he'll rank it as one of their best of the season, even though they haven't won the game. Well, they're not winning the game at the moment. That's not to say they won't win it. If they win it, it'll be their best of the season, no question about that. Beat Huddersfield 23-10 on the 20th of March. Nothing else.
But it's been a performance. It's been a performance, Rob.
Yes.
Full of character, endeavour, fair bit of skill in there as well. And look, you know, regardless of the outcome, there's something to build on here for the rest of the season. And they're off again here now.
Shorrocks does well. He finds Nicarima. Nicarima gallops away. Yates makes the tackle with Paul Vaughan. 2 tough tacklers, 2 top tacklers there. Here goes Chris Hill, winding up, running into Curry and Ratchford, 2 of his old teammates at the Warrington Wolves. He played almost 300 games for the Wolves, captained them in 2 grand finals. Richardson, high, hanging kick. It's a difficult one. Viewless has dropped it. It's a try, Masters. Isan Masters. Well, the towering kick in the wind, blowing everywhere. It was spilled. Isan Masters said, thank you very much. I'll take 4. He's levelled the scores. We'll have a look. Of course we'll have a look. No try on the field.
Big call, this. Big call, Rod.
Okay, the live decision is no try. Live decision is no try. This comes from a kick, so confirming Chaser onside. Ball on the foot. So Chaser to the left or offside, but to the right they're onside. Let's play it through from this point, please. So we're looking at the catch now. So the live decision is he has been tackled in the air. So we'll get something close on this. This may help us. We can see takes possession of the ball, in possession there at that point, and you can see he's tackled. So that isn't a genuine contest. You can see his arms are out to tackle. He wraps and tackles him in the air, and we can see his feet are always in the air at that point. This constitutes a tackle in the air. Thank you. I made my decision.
Well, fair play to Liam Rush and indeed to Liam Moore in this powder keg atmosphere. Referee Rush spotted it on the field. Referee Moore was calm and methodical, and that's the correct decision, John Wells.
Absolutely, it's what you want from your referees. You know, you want calm and unflustered. That's exactly what we got. It was the correct decision. It's a painful one for Red Devils fans because I think it was really well worked, and it was a fraction of a second away from being perfect, wasn't it? But you know, those fractions of a second all count, and now an opportunity for the Warrington Wolves to put some distance between themselves and their own try line.
Well, the standard of officiating in Super League was branded pathetic last week. That wasn't pathetic. That was top-notch officiating for mine. And Salford, well, they felt they'd got the levelling try and possibly the go-ahead score from the conversion. That's been wiped off. Here's Dufty. Warrington had the ball up the other end. They've dodged one there. No mistake, the Warrington Wolves. That was on 63 minutes, that incident, so only 17 minutes in the end. That's a penalty. It's a dangerous tackle. Luke Yates has been infringed upon by Ormond Droid. Liam Rush is in quickly. The whistle has gone. Warrington have a penalty. In this wind, kicking it may be difficult, but you feel that mathematically and probability-wise it's the right thing to do. They've got Mark Sneed, who is kicking at under 80% this season, but you fancy him from there, but the wind and rain do make it difficult, John. Yeah, he's going to keep this one. He'll punch this one low and try and keep it under the stands. He's actually got the wind at his back. Ironically, it's swirling around, and there's rain in the air now again. Well, but what a last 5 minutes we've had. A real opportunity for the Red Devils. The correct decision reached by the video referee. The on-field call, the instinct from Liam Rush on the field was correct, and Ethan Ryan, I think, you know, again, was 100% committed with his chase, just didn't get the timing right. Yeah. The challenge was an accident, but it was illegal, and you could say the same about the incident here that's given Warrington a penalty. Now Mark Sneed has got to use all his golfing acumen to keep it under the wind and make allowance for what is probably now a two-club wind that he's kicking into here at the Salford Community Stadium. Mark Sneed, the master marksman. Has the wind caught that? It hasn't. He stroked it through. Full credit. And Mark Sneed's left boot does the necessary, as it's done so often over the years in Super League. He adds the two. Warrington now lead by a converted try, and that's big. 14 minutes left. This is the tackle. Masters just trying to hold the ball. Ormond Roy joins the tackle. That's where the tip involves. That's considered a dangerous tackle. Well, Warrington now have a bit of a luxury. And what's happening at Lee Sports Village? Well, tonight this is in Super League. Lee 12, Wigan 8. And those that put out the narrative saying that Wigan could be vulnerable without the best player in the competition, Bevan French, well, they're losing tonight. They've not lost tonight. They're 12-8 down. That kicked off at a similar time to this. Drama everywhere in Super League tonight. Salford was sniffing only their second win of the season. They still might get it. They're 6 behind now. And Lee are threatening to topple the champions for the second time this season. Warrington trying to hold on and restore some order to the Super League tonight. Here is Steph Ratchford. Ratchford trying to hand off Salford would-be tacklers, including Ethan Masters. 6 again. Masters cannot believe his luck, but that's the call. Sneed. Warrington trying to close the door on Salford here. With 12 minutes left, they feel one more try will pull the curtain down on this contest. Toby King goes through the gears. Salford's defence, desperate as it's been watertight in the main. That is Ratchford. This is poor Vaughan. Vaughan with all the muscle. Can't finesse the ball away. Ratchford busy here. Comes to this near side. That is the Warrington left. Now Philbin goes back to the centre. Joe Philbin clatters into challenges fearlessly. And Ratchford looking for the half-backs, looking for Williams or Sneed here. He's found Dufty. Dufty keeps hold of the ball. He's got it wide. Thewlis. Josh Thewlis, he scored once, he won't score from there. He's going to be having a seat in the front row.
Connell's done so well. He's done so well because we talked all night, haven't we, about how agile this back three is, how good the footwork is coming into contact. You take a look at Nathan Connell and what he does, where he places his feet, refuses to lose his feet, gets his feet tucked underneath and manages just to provide enough pressure before his teammates arrive. Another really crucial defensive display from the Red Devils.
Their defence has been tremendous. They've conceded 228 points in their home games this season. That's an average of well in excess of 30. But tonight, John, it's been absolutely ferocious and frantic.
You know, it's been a defensive display with heart, hasn't it? With real heart and conviction, and that's been something that we've seen all too sparingly this season.
A real dogs of war style defence from Paul Rowley's side here. At the moment, it looks as though they may come up just short, but it's been a night that they'll be really proud of, I'm sure. Even though professional sportsmen and coaches are always disappointed by defeat, they're never pleased with a defeat. Rob. Chris Hill offloads. Is anyone there? Yes, it is. It's Hankinson. Hankinson taken down by Thewlis and King on the Warrington right flank. Last tackle here for the Red Devils. Danny Richardson with another towering kick. It finds the land, not hand. Can they get the pass wide? Oh, the slip. The slip was costly. The slip was catastrophic, really.
And
was it Hankinson who slipped?
That was Connell, I think.
Connell.
Yeah, the ball up from Danny Richardson, caught in the wind, back down into the hands of Masters, and just as he's trying to make the catch, he's having to adjust as Connell loses his feet once again. And the Warrington Wolves, well, they don't have to, they're not forced into more try-saving work in defence. Good first carry from Toby King.
They are having to work very, very hard, and that's a penalty. Chris Hill holding on too long, and if Warrington thought they could turn up here and just have an exercise canter and pick up 2 points, they were very sadly mistaken.
Yeah, they've now conceded penalties though in the last 3 sets of defence, the Salford Red Devils. It's just too easy.
The fatigue factor, John.
Yeah, they're giving the Warrington Wolves just easy outs. They're not having to work for this position. And they're set up now, open the field at the Warrington Wolves. Shot coming left here.
Warrington have won away from home at Huddersfield and witness in the Challenge Cup and away at Saints. That was their best win of the season. They won 14-12 in round 5 at the home of St Helens. Ashton and Williams scored the try. Ashton's still out. Williams has been out for much of the season. Here is Williams though. Very much on the side tonight. They found King, Toby King, the ball inside. King again gets his hand on the ball once more. Toby King crabbing across the field, can't get free. Dufty to Stone, Sam Stone. Oh, that would be a headline-grabbing, match-winning score for the former Salford man. The whistle's gone, so Thewlis may touch down, but it's not going to count.
Laying behind the rope with his head on the floor. Nathan, I've stopped the game because you're in the way, mate. If you're staying on, it's going to be a green card.
Well, that's that.
Hold your head to the floor.
Green card again coming here for Nathan Connell this time.
I don't understand that. I mean, the referee blew time off, but Connell was trying to get back to his feet.
I stopped the game. I stopped the game because he's behind the ball. His head to the floor. It's a green card.
Yeah. So the referee's saying that he had to stop play because he was down, not moving. Anyway,
Williams kicks underneath the post. Oh, dropped. And is it touched down by the former Salford man, Stefan Ratsford? Has Stefan Ratsford bitten the hand that used to feed him and clinched the match for the Warrington Wolves? Liam Rush believes he has. It's another decision for the video ref, and it's an important one. It could be the match-winning one.
Okay, there'll be a try on field. First of all, checking the Chaser onside, and we can see Chaser onside to the left, so I'm happy to play on this point. So let's play it through. Chaser onside, so let's see what happens from here. So he runs into him there, so that's fine. I'm happy to play on from this point, so let's see what happens here. So that's lost by Masters there. I'll just confirm that. So we can see that's lost by Masters. So what happens after this? So the ball's live at this point. We've confirmed it's lost. And you can see Ratchford's hand is the first one to get to that. Thank you, I've made my decision.
Stefan Ratchford. Looks like he's finished off Salford here at the Salford Community Stadium. A star for them between 2007 and 2011. But tonight he's the man who has finished off their hopes. Masters spilling the ball, Ratchford with a simple to put down, and that is that. Sam Burgess, I think, can now finally relax.
Yeah, Mark Sneed adding the extra 2. 12 points to 24, and that's ballooned quickly, hasn't it? It's, I think, a series of disciplinary errors in defence from the Red Devils, and then just on taking the catch, Ethan Masters spilled the ball, lost sight of it as he went past the uprights, in behind the sticks, but it doesn't deserve to happen to Masters. I think he's played really well. It's a good tactically positioned kick from George Williams, fumbled by Masters.
Short kick-off, and they've got it back here. Yes, they have got it back. It was batted back.
Yeah, they're going to have to get a move on, though, aren't they? They've got 2 converted tries to score in under 7 minutes.
And they've only scored 1 all night. Most of their points have come from penalties. You know, so they've struggled to post points, not just tonight, but all season in terms of tries. They've managed to keep ticking the scoreboard over with penalties, but they're no good to them now. And Warrington in front now by double digits for the first time. But let's get it right. On 63 minutes, Salford thought they'd levelled up through Masters, but their try was chalked off for a tackle in the air by Ryan. And that would have levelled the match, and potentially Salford would have been in front of the conversion, and that was not long ago. Warrington have scored twice since then. Now, Richardson, Hill, charging forward, he really has. Run like a young bull tonight, the veteran prop forward. 37 years young now, Chris Hill. Richardson kicks through, Brierley hunting. It's collected by Warrington. They've got their hands on the ball, and they can run out another set here. They're close to the winning post now.
Philbin's done really well there, because that, again, you know, that could have been a big moment. There is still time on the clock. If there'd have been a fumble there or a miscue, then who knows what Salford would have done with the resulting possession. That was really well tidied up.
Philbin didn't like the attention. Liam Rush reading the right act and telling him to get on with it. Vaughan, very much, this is now very much Paul Vaughan's type of game. Pouring rain, the big enforcer with a 12-point lead can really just keep running the ball forward, and Philbin again like a bowling ball into the Salford skittles. And Warrington now, any top side should be able to run the clock down from here. The big kick collected by Ethan Ryan, the man who scored that Salford try halfway through the first half that gave them such hope of an unlikely victory.
Move, Sam! This line! Wait, Paul!
Andy Richardson is at dummy half. Has he got some magic up his sleeve in these closing minutes? Only 4.5 minutes left now. Salford running out of gas now, running out of time too. But there have been moments in this match when they've been well on top of Warrington. Brierley, Ryan again! Well, Ethan Ryan, the space was shut down very quickly by Connor Wrench. Brierley back on the field after that head injury assessment. Isan Masters thought he'd got that crucial try. This man's threatened all night, Nicarima. a real threat with ball in hand, the former Catalan Dragon. Here's Masters again. Ethan Masters with the dancing feet, gets away from Ratchford, offloads. It's Wilder really, picked up by King, he offloads. That was unnecessary if you're a Warrington coach or a Warrington fan. Dufty, cut down. As the rain gets heavier, Thulis is there, and he'll go himself here. He went the length here like this against Hull. He's threatening to do it again. Josh Thulis for the second week running. This time he's dragged down by a desperate last-ditch tackle by Briley. And that's happening in the 77th minute, Mark Yu. Here's the kick.
Oh, Ethan Ryan, take a bow. Oh, wow, what a brilliant piece of... I mean, he's been called offside. He's been called offside. But I'll tell you what, that shouldn't take away from two pieces of defensive work. The first from Ryan Briley, which was a try-saver. The second from Ryan, which has made the ball safe. He was offside, and here come Warrington again.
Well, Josh Thulis was odds on in running to score, there was no question. In fact, it was almost like put the number in the frame because Thulis had gone, and then from somewhere Briley appeared. Now a bit of push and shove, and that will suit Warrington because the clock has run down a few seconds while all that was going on. It's stopped now, but with less than 3 minutes left.
Yeah, this was the... I mean, Ethan Ryan has never got back on side. He'd come from an offside. It was almost like a Warrington attacker. But the break from... yeah, this is Ethan Ryan collecting up, but the break from Josh Thulis in itself was special, wasn't it? The footwork to get him into the backfield, and then...
So alike the try against Hull.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But then Briley as well, the old stager, just...
amazing.
So good to watch.
He's 33, Ryan Briley. I can't imagine he ran any quicker than that when he was 23. It was an incredible piece of defensive play. Vaughan now. This will suit Warrington. They can just keep running out tackles, running out sets, running down the clock. Another 6 will do them just fine. Ratchford gets away, scored once, looking to make it a double. Stefan Ratchford trying to get the left arm free. Ben Curry says, just take the tackle, Steph. We'll take some more seconds off the clock here, and another 6. My word. And now Sneed drops it off to Luke Yates, and Luke Yates swats off a couple of tackles, brushes off another, gets close to the try line. And Stefan Ratchford again, who really has been busy since coming off the bench. Stone rolling forward. That's a penalty. And that'll be a sin bin. 3 infringements near the line. And the 5th sin binning of the season for Salford. It's Ryan Briley, and effectively it's a sending off because that's the end of his work for the night. And what a night's work he's put in, John Wells.
Yeah, look, he felt like the dam was about to break, so he's tried to buy some time. I mean, it's all going to be in vain, isn't it? And that's like, there's one blot in the copybook. It's been that the second half discipline in defence from the Red Devils. Far too many penalties conceded. It's been a marked improvement on what we've come to expect, unfortunately, from the Red Devils this season. A marked improvement. But the Warrington Wolves are going to get home here.
I think it's the fatigue factor, and Salford just haven't had anything left in the tank. Warrington run the penalty, they could have kicked it. They'll feel they can get another 6 points on the board here, and who knows how important for and against might be come the final analysis. They had the best for and against in the league last season. George Williams, Dufty! Dufty's not held, Matt Dufty's still going, he's held now all right.
Well, that time it was Nicarima with the legs tackle.
Look at the rain there here in the Salford Community Stadium. George Williams stepped up his left foot and stepped into tacklers. They're still hanging on here, Salford. Williams plays the ball, Ratchford. They come to the left flank this time. Mark Sneed dancing around, going one way then the other. Now puts his left boot to the ball. It'll be another drop out here. It's knocked dead again. Knocked dead by Chris Hankinson, whose penalties threatened to win this game for Salford. They're not going to now, but for a few moments during this match, when Salford were on top, they've been in front on the scoreboard too. They led 8-6 in the first half. But it's not going to be enough now, as the sand starts to run out of the hourglass, and we move into the final few seconds of this Super League contest. And it's Richardson who belts it long. Remember, Briley is in the sin bin for these final few minutes. This is Joe Philbin, who's had an impact off the bench. He didn't play against Hull, nor did King, and both have had an impact in this match. Ratchford, finds Williams. 15 seconds left now as Warrington are going to close in on the top 6 with the win that they were supposed to get. Paul Vaughan kicks the ball. That in the playbook was not on page 1, it was on page 101, if not 1001, but it won't matter now. And there is the final hooter. And a breathless evening in Salford comes to a conclusion. There were minutes during that match when we thought we were going to see one of the biggest shocks of this or any other Super League season, when Salford led the Warrington Wolves 8-6. But in the second half, they got it back at 12-all and threatened a go-ahead score after 63 minutes, which was disallowed for a tackle in the air. And in the end, Warrington came home the stronger. And they got tries late on. The closing try from Stefan Ratsford, that was the one that really pulled the curtain down on the Salford Red Devils against his old club. And Warrington have just about got home here in this contest, in the driving rain in Salford. It's enough to keep the flickering flames burning as far as their playoff hopes are concerned.